Hey, Natsu here. Today I'm going to start, the first part of a redo that I wanted to do for so long. Because just like for the Time Reaper deku, this one is one that I tried to do a while back, but the videos were horrible. This one literally only had 2 views, and it was only on the first part, before I decided to re-look at them. Because someone posted that the video sounded really bad, and both of them had the same problem, so once again deleted it. So I'm going to redo the what if. It was what if Deku had a perfect mix of both his parents' quirk. How it will work is that Deku will actually have the capacity to breathe fire, compared to his father that, if I remember correctly, it hurted him a bit. This one, well, for Deku, it doesn't hurt at all, except if he starts going to extreme level of flames. His resistance will increase over the what if. Secondly, his mother's quirk, basically mixed with it, allows him to control any fire to a perfect extent, practically excepted if the person sending the fire has a control over it that is stronger than his. Which, for a while, probably would be extremely bad for Deku, but you will see how he's going to deal with that. Secondly, he doesn't keep the aspect of it that allows him to bring stuff to him. It only makes it capable of controlling fire, basically making them die out or making them a lot stronger by adding by making it pass over something that can burn. If he wants, he can keep the flame at the same size by controlling it, but it's basically because it absorbs a huge amount of oxygen to basically make it burn, or other flammable gas that are in the atmosphere. But yeah, so those are the power Deku has. So he is born like every other child, without being able to use his quirk. Basically all of his, all that happened before they went to the quirk doctor to see what his quirk was. They actually, they didn't actually use them. Sorry, I had to pause. So yeah, until Bakugou gets his quirk and that they go to the quirk doctor, basically nothing really changes except that flames around him when he's a kid and that he gets angry or stuff like that basically starts kind of change shape a bit. Not taking a shape in particular, but basically like moving a bit. Basically his capacity to control fire kind of showing. They go to the quirk doctor. They tell him that, oh yes, he has a quirk. Well, he will get a quirk. The way they decide to see if he can control it yet is basically ask him. Sorry about that. So basically they ask him if he's able to breathe fire, which he basically tries. It doesn't really work. He will develop it a bit later in life, at around 6 to be more precise. Just because, since it didn't work right now, they basically think, okay, it's not that, it's going to be his mother's quirk, or it's just not developed yet. They basically try to do tests to see what they are, what all his quirk is, and they basically ask him to try and bring objects to him. like his mom do, doesn't really work, which he's basically bummed out because, oh no, I don't have a quirk, and blah blah blah. Then the doctor says that he might have a combination of his parents' quirk. His mom can levitate stuff, and his dad can breathe fire, so he can probably control fire or something like that. So they try it, and basically they make a flame in a room where um, air doesn't flow, so the flame cannot move on its own. Basically, all being pushed by wind. They basically tell him to try to control it, which he basically tries and tries really hard. And they see that the flame actually kind of bends towards him because he's trying to bring it in. They tell him if he's able to push it because they see that, yeah, the flame kind of moves towards him. He tries it and it works after a small amount of time. So they basically tell him, okay, so your quirk is fire control. Or something like that, basically, that they say. So he's really happy because, yay, I have a quirk, I can train it, I can become a hero. So the next day at school, basically, Bakugou is really happy, asks Deku what his quirk is, and he says that his quirk is fire control. Which they ask him what it does, and he basically explains that he is able to move fire. Right now it's not strong enough to do that much, but if he trains well, he could probably be able to control even the explosions of Bakugou. Which, hearing that, basically makes Bakugou a bit angry, simply because he has a flashy quirk, he's going to be the best. And then he hears that Deku could probably do something even better, or use my power against me, which makes him angry. So basically, he has a rivalry against Deku, which Deku gets, because Bakugou tries to fight him almost every day, basically saying, try to control that, and basically blasting him in the face, almost. Not close enough to harm him, but still pretty much close enough for Deku to feel the heat and get hurt, and basically feel his skin tingling a bit. Not leaving any marks and stuff, but still just enough to basically make Deku afraid, which Deku decides to train to counter that. And when I mean train, what I mean is that he wants to be able to control fire without trying to move his hand, really. Which will be kind of difficult, because the way he will be able to control it is a bit like the firebenders in Avatar, except with a lot more capacity. What do I mean by this is that, well, the firebenders can create and augment their flames, as well as control them. But they need big movements, basically, to control them. Deku would be able to control a lot of things just by moving his finger at some point. So, basically, until he is 6, he basically trains to be able to control his quirk, as well as train his physical strength, because if he's a hero, and that something happens, because he knows about Eraserhead, since he is a hero, and Deku loves heroes to the point of knowing almost every hero the moment they actually get in the business, so he knows Eraserhead. That means that he knows that some people can erase quirk. So he basically trains to be able to fight without that, which his mom um, puts him in different class of like karate, defense and stuff like that, basically to allow him to do that, as well as at home basically having basically a well, basically something to make a flame for him to basically control it, telling him to be very careful, which he basically by that point already know. Well, he is able to literally extinguish a flame in seconds, depending on the size. Like a bigger flame takes longer for good reasons. There's more to clean off. But a small flame doesn't take that long, so he can be a bit well, he can overreact a bit and then just extinguish the flames afterward. And at his 6 years, about 6.5, Bakugou at school basically is getting angrier and angrier because he still tries his little trick on Deku almost every day, basically making a small explosion. But Deku is now able to basically just kind of push the explosion, well, literally. He is now able, simply by moving a finger, to make all the fire around him basically not touch him. So Bakugou's explosions are basically useless against Deku. No matter the size of it, it basically just goes around him, so Deku's not even harmed by it. Anything else like the smoke and stuff like that still touches him, but the heat, the flame basically moves away. He has the heat as well, simply because fire and heat are almost, well, the way fire is made is burning something basically, so oxygen, nitrogen, and other stuff like that to basically grow. Water is something that cannot burn, as well as different other thing. Um, so basically what, and heat is actually the molecules, well, the heat from a fire is basically all of the molecules being sent away, basically all the energy created from it, basically going in all direction. Deku's basically able to just control that just enough to kind of push it away as well when the heat directly comes from a flame. So that's how I'm explaining it. Why just pushing the flame around him doesn't burn him. That's basically it. So by this point, Bakugou's really angry, and at some point actually tried to fight Deku one-on-one. Or, well, actually wanted to do that and decided to throw a branch at him, which Deku basically just kind of, well, got hit by it and got angry, basically screaming at Bakugou that he's tolerating the explosions because he can take it and he can push it away. But throwing something at him, that's too far. And basically while screaming, he just gets angry and tells Bakugou, because, well, Bakugou tries to tell him something, basically snarkling a rude comment, and Deku basically tells him, "Shut up!" And at that moment, flames come out of his mouth, almost burning Bakugou, and everyone basically sees that, whoa, okay, he can do that as well. Which they even see Deku's reaction is surprised because he's not hurt by it. Well, at least his mouth and face is not hurt, as well as his throat. compared to his dad that gets trained extremely easily. Which basically everyone kind of reacts like, whoa, you can breathe fire as well? That means you don't even need someone else to make fire for you to control. That's awesome! You can control fire anywhere with that. Which basically makes the gap of Bakugou's quirk being really flashy and Deku's quirk basically just being I can control fire that comes from around me. Which is still flashy because he can control fire. But now he can also breathe it. Which basically means Bakugou's explosions aren't that special anymore. Well, for some people. Some people still think his explosions are way better because it's not just a flame. But a lot of people are basically teasing him that now there's someone better because he can make fire and as well control it, which makes Bakugou even angrier. Which makes it so that Bakugou doesn't call Deku Deku because he's not useless, but calls him burn breath, basically. Like to insult him, but it doesn't really work that much. Which Deku basically, for his hero name, decided to take from that. The Burning Breath hero, Firestorm. The reason I say Firestorm is simply because one of the ways he was fighting against Bakugou before he gained his Fire Breath ability was basically just making Bakugou's fire turn around Deku, like a storm, basically. So he chose that. Not to be confused with Firestorm from the DC universe, I think. It's just that I really like the name, and basically Deku can literally make a firestorm if he wants to. So that's kind of what I mean. At some point, he will learn to do something really awesome, but you'll see what it is. Gray knows about that. He's well, because he is actually the one who placed the comment. The sound was trash on the first video, and I basically told it in the second one, which he basically looked before I erased it. But still. So, he knows about it. I don't know if anyone else knows what he's going to be able to do. But yeah, so for the rest of, well, from that moment all the way to before the 10 months of training, basically, Bakugou is still really mad at Deku, but starts to respect him a bit because, yeah, he kind of started to go over the kid phase of thinking he was the best simply by having someone else basically able to do something a lot more useful than what he can, since Deku can literally extinguish flames instead of just blowing up something. So on the day where the teacher basically explains about UA. Oh yeah, also one thing I should say about Deku's personality. He still wants to help everyone, but he's a little more hot-headed. Not in the way of Bakugou, but basically he doesn't let himself be walked on compared to the original. Like, if someone tries to fight him, he's going to fight. That's this Deku. Like, he won't take an insult if he doesn't need to. So, basically, he is pretty capable. He can, well, if he needs to, he can stay cold-headed. Um, if Bakugou tries to insult him, yeah, that's okay for him because he doesn't really care anymore. So the teacher basically asks what they want to do later in life. Then he throws his paper up. Yeah, I know you all want to be heroes. Then Bakugou did the same rant, which the teacher said, "Oh yeah, you want to go to UA." Then looked at the paper and said, "Oh, Izuku, you want to go to UA too, right?" Which nobody laughs because damn right he can. He basically just said, "Yeah, is there a problem with that?" Which he says, "No. Actually, I think the two best students of the school going to UA would actually augment their reputation quite a bit. That would be awesome if you could enter both. Hope you do. Hope you do well." And basically leaves it at that. The bell rings. Everyone leaves. Deku doesn't really get bullied, and um, one thing I did in the original was I didn't really give him one for all at first. Because I asked the question, do you want Deku to get one for all at some point in the story? Nobody answered, since there wasn't really anyone who watched it. Um, but yeah, so the question will stay the same. Does Deku get one for all? Because I'm going to end it here before the battle, because I'm going to explain in great detail the 10 months of training. So, this is the question. Does Deku get one for all? Tell me in the comment or tell me on Discord. I'm going to leave a link in the description. If you like the video, leave a like. And yeah, leave a comment if you have any questions. Natsu, out.